Hi crafty friend, it's Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. In this video, I'm showing you a non-stitching and a stitching card, so stay tuned for both of those. I am working with the stitching die of the month from August. It is so cute. It's a little paint palette, and I'm going to pair it with the BetterPress sentiments. I did glimmer them with the rainbow foil. How fun is this? This to me, I think, will be a magnet, so I'm going to pop some magnet strips on the back of this in just a little bit. But let's dive right into the stitching. Now, if this is your first stitching die you've ever gotten, congratulations and welcome to the stitching world. It is so fun here. So glad you're here. If you have really no knowledge or anything about stitching and you're looking for a tutorial about stitching, I have two very simple videos that you're going to want to watch. They are my Stitching 101 videos, so I always recommend people to check those out because I will reference those as I go here today. But let's dive right into this project. I have my needle. Doesn't really matter what needle you use. I like to use this long one. It is not a tapestry needle. It is definitely for sewing. It is sharp, but what's life without a few surprises? I have my white thread split in half. I will demonstrate that with my pink thread in just a little bit. But let's stitch on the paint brush first. So the best part about this set is that you can make stitching and non-stitching cards. This has no holes in it, so I know sometimes people are like, well, you can use the stitching dies, but then there's holes in them. And I really don't prefer the look of that on my projects, but you can just use the dies without the holes. So it's pretty neat. Why don't I grab the die set just to show ya. It's here somewhere. Here we go. So the die set is also great for making some mini slimlines because it comes with a rectangle die that you could use for mini slimlines. So another way to stretch your style here. But these two dies got me this white paint palette piece. It is kind of, you can see the little rectangles there. It is embossed, if you will. So that's those two pieces. And then this long skinny piece I die cut out with black paper for this project that I'm going to work on today. So that's where the brush area will go. Here's the brush. Now you're thinking, wait, I thought you said there was not going to be holes. Well, these holes on the brush are covered up with the gold pieces here. So yes, this was the stitching one, but there's no holes. Do you see holes? There's no holes. I think I said holes a lot there, but whatever. Anyway, so for the actual paint area, there's two dies. There's a stitching option and a non-stitching option. So for this glitter one, I used just the rectangles. For the stitching one, I used both because I like to have a background that has the same color on it. So when you look at this blue one, you do not see white behind it. I hope that makes sense. I'll talk about that when I put the pink together, but I used both of those. And then for the tip of the brush, you can use this one that will get you the holes, or you can just leave it as it is, like I did here, and no holes. And then for the tip, this is a gold piece on this card, and then I am going to use white glitter paper on this one, just the edge of the brush. And then this is for the little gold piece that I have here. So very simple, but it definitely is a fun die set. So let's just go along here. And the fun thing about this one is it does coordinate with the BetterPress and the glimmer. So that is neat. All right, now that I have explained it all, let's just go into stitching with the brush. Now, if you watched my stitching video 101, you know that sometimes I like to use tape to start and stop projects. This is going to be one of those projects. I'm going to use some best ever craft tape to start it off. So I'll just use, don't need that big piece, I don't think actually. We'll cut it in half. And I'm going to tape it in the center because the thread will pull toward a hole. So if I did it on the tip, it would pull and you would see a line. So there's the center, and then now that's on the back, so you can't see the tape at all, and it is secure. So I will just go in the first hole, starting from the bottom, going up the first hole. And this is just making a line stitch. So I'm going straight across and going into the bottom on this side, and then going up the next hole like this. You don't want to make it too tight or too loose. If it's too loose, it'll look saggy and weird. So there you go. And down the second hole. Make sure it's not wrapped around. So if it's too tight, it's going to look like this. No Gouda. Make sure it's just right, like Goldilocks. Up the top one, pull it taut. And then down the last hole. These line stitches are very simple, just going back and forth. Okay, now I'll make sure that that is nice and tight. Hold it down, take my little scrap of tape and pop it on. Give it a snip, and my brush has stitching. Now mine's bowed a little bit, but it's not a problem. Once I put the other elements on there, I'd rather it be a little bit tight than saggy, so we're going to go with that. Let's do the tip of my brush next. So that's this piece. This will just be a simple circle stitch. I am going to use white thread again. This time we'll do the hide the tail method, just for fun. So I'll go up on the back, it doesn't matter what hole that I start in, and then I'm going to flip it over and hold the tail with my finger like this, because when I do these next 3 stitches, my thread is going to go over that tail and it will hold it in place. So I will show you as I go. Down the center, up the outside, and now when I do this up the outside, watch how it holds it. Can you see that? It's holding the tail. Like so. Down the center. And then I'm going to go over my tail again, so my tail's right by the circle. So we're going to go down, right there. Up the outside, down the center. I always recommend doing the up the outside, down the center, because when you get to some stitching projects that are like florals that have a lot of circles going into the main circle, it's way easier to go down the middle, and it gives a cleaner project at the end, in my opinion. I'll just keep going around. I will trim this tail once I'm finished, so no problem. Just trying to make sure everything's nice and flat because this will be glued on. Up the outside and down the center. One last time. There we go. Then I will back stitch to finish it off. So that's just going in any of these the back, slide the needle under the stitches, pull it. Sometimes I do it 3 times, sometimes I do it twice, just to see if it will hold. I think twice is plenty for this time. And we'll give it all a good snip. So that is the tip of the brush. Very simple. And then now for this piece, for whatever reason, I did do this ahead of time. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand so the camera really will pick it up, but that is just doing a line stitch across. So it is teeny tiny. It is smaller than my nail on my pinky. So, see. I mean, I do have long nails, but it's like a fingernail size. It's tiny. And that's going to have this gold piece behind it. And you might ask yourself, why? Or ask me, why? Why put that gold behind it? Well, this is what it will look like if you don't. And it's fine if you want this look, but you can see the white holes right there. And if I put a gold piece behind it, you can't see those holes, like so. See? So I'm going to assemble those with some glue, and I'll probably have to use some things to weigh things down. I am going to trim my tail just a little bit here. It is kind of fanning out. Okay, and then the tip. So we'll put this brush together. I do have barely art liquid glue here, so I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this, and I will go around the edges as well, and then pop my brush right there. And that will probably pop up. It probably won't be flat, and that is fine with me. No biggie. Put down my gold piece. Just kind of slide it under there. You could even just leave it like that. That looks really cool, just with the gold. Kind of like my first project there. And then we'll pop this one on top of that. Gold mirror cardstock is very slippery, so it might move, so I'm just going to leave it be nice and flat as it is. There we have it. My brush, all done. I'm going to set that off to the side so I don't bump it as I work on my pink paint area. So if you watched my stitching video, you know that I split the thread from 6 to 3. So I just unravel it, going the opposite direction of how it was woven together. I pick 3 threads, 1, 2, sometimes it's more together than I would prefer. This is not DMC thread, and I definitely prefer DMC thread, but I'm trying to use up some of my old thread that I have, so it might not. But a trick to make sure that it doesn't knot as much, no knotting here, we're going to use Thread Magic, which is a thread conditioner. Kind of feels like wax. It also reminds me, I used to work at Target, the customer service desk, but it reminds me of the weird paste that you use at cash registers to like grip the bills. Anyway, that was a very odd, weird memory that just popped up. All right, I'll thread my needle. Did I get all of them on there? Yes, okay. Oh, I just pulled it. No, I did not. I just had the 2. Well, I'm not going to sit there and put that 3rd thread together on camera. So I will grab the other half of my 6 threads and try again. In the world. Stuff like that only happens on camera, I tell you. Okay. Thread my needle again. I thought something was up. I tell you, sometimes I think that things like this happen as a chance for me to work on my patience. Anyway, let's begin with my circle stitch on here. Since I'm really not feeling all that open for patient and chance opportunities, I am going to tape it because, yeah, I'm just not interested in having issues. So you can see on the back of this, it's actually glimmered. This was a scrap that I had from a project that it didn't quite glimmer just right. So I figured instead of throwing it away, this side was beautiful. So I die cut it out and we are good to go. Again, up the outside, down the center. And that is my favorite part about die cutting, is having these little areas and using up my paper scraps. It is so satisfying to die cut out a whole bunch of little things and then end up with a piece of paper that is just pieces of all these little die cuts cut out, and then to put that in the recycling is so satisfying. Alright, we're about halfway done with this little one and we'll move along. Something I want to do with this stitching card, stitching die set, I will try to make a card that is A2 with a whole bunch of these like blocks, if you will, and do like a little stack like this. I think that that would be really cute, but do like the whole front of the A2 like that. So that's an idea that popped into my head. But as I am here at the end of my summer break as a teacher, hold for sobbing, time is running out a little bit, so I couldn't make a ton of these for the video, but if I do extra cards like I was just talking about, I will pop those on my Instagram, so be sure to follow me there at Stationery by Justine. I do have it linked in the description as well. And I will definitely put it on my Facebook group, Stationery by Justine. That is my page, and then also the Spellbinder Maker group. Just pop that on the back. And then I like to just hold these. I've glued 6 of these already, so I found gluing and holding the 2 edges works really well. Turning it and then pressing and holding the other 2 sides. And that really is a firm seal. We're all good. All right, let's get to, this is gonna bug me. Some of that thread magic gets a little bit waxy on my surface here, so I am just gonna quick give that a wipe. Mighty Mister to the rescue yet again. Squeaky clean. And then we will get to figuring out the pieces here. This I die cut out with a scrap of black paper, and this was actually my watercolor black paper. So you might see a little bit of sparkle there. I was experimenting with my Alta New watercolors that are like sparkly. They're so pretty, and I thought that the black paper would be fun to put them on, and it was fun. All right, this has a little bit of a notch cut or pressed in where it belongs, so I'll just try to line it up as best as I can. Should we make both of these magnets? I feel like I've gone down a rabbit hole with these magnets, but I think that they're really fun. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. I've been making magnets on my channel here this last month. This glue, get off. It's like some of the fuzz from the black paper stuck to the glue. We're gonna cover that up with some white gel pen. When in doubt, grab your pen. There we go. Okay, that is another trick for Copic coloring as well. If you try to use like your colorless blender and you color outside the lines and it just isn't working, let it dry, take a breath, grab your white glue pen, your white gel pen, and just color over it with white very lightly. It will probably work. Or let your project have things colored outside the lines, because life is too short to be perfect, and perfect is boring. Okay. Sorry, that was a little unhinged. We'll continue. I like to put my pink and purple together. I don't know, that's just been something that my eye has been liking. So I'm going to put my purple right by my pink, like so. And then the key for these is to make sure that they're lined up without the glue drying. I probably shouldn't have put the glue on all of the areas, and I probably should have put the glue on the actual pieces, so I will be doing that moving forward. We're getting all the nitty-gritty details here. This video won't be edited too much. Ooh, what else have I been up to? Well, I never showed you footage of our trip to the Bears on vacation. So when I'm editing this video and I remember, I will put in cute bear pictures. We went to a bear sanctuary up north. The bears are all wild and free, so that is always fun to go visit and see what the bears are up to. They are black bears. It is very safe to visit them, even though they are wild. They're not in captivity, but where we are is a view deck, and yes, we are close to them, but we are safe, even though we're not not dealing with like cuddly teddy bears, but they are so cute. And yes, there was bear cubs there, and bear cubs are so cute. We actually had our bus break down there. It was quite a journey. Let's see what else. I am also starting up my dyslexia class again. They braked for the summer. We take a break, and that will be super fun. We have teacher in service coming up. We had this giant benefactor dinner at our school, so my classroom had to be somewhat ready. So because of that dinner, I feel like my classroom is fairly set up. So sometimes pressure like that ends up really helping, especially someone like me. When I have a deadline, I need a deadline. It's not just like, oh yeah, whatever. No, I need a deadline. So my classroom is basically set up. It needs a little bit of some like maintenance things, some light fixes, windows, whatever. But nothing too crazy that we can't work around, My mom always said, there's always a workaround. Business lady that she is. So I take that information and I roll with it and try not to panic. But all the textbooks and all the materials, things have been ordered, so we're doing just fine. I'm getting super excited for the school year. It's going to be a great year. I just know it. So on my first one, I put the sentiment on the colors. I think I want the stitching to be the star of the show. So I'm going to put the sentiment on this one in between the brush and the stitching, the brush and the paint, because I don't want to cover up any of the pretty stitching. That would just be like a crime, Well, since this one says have a colorful birthday, we're going to turn this into a card, and this one is going to be a magnet because it's not themed around birthday. Now, you might be asking, where in the world are you getting these magnet strips from? I'll tell you. I'm getting them from my leftovers from packaging up my dies. So I like to keep my dies on this magnet. I'll just pull one out here, like my circles. I like to just keep them on a magnet. So when I cut down my magnet pieces to fit into these nice little slides, I get these scraps that are these rectangle strips. So, I have these left over. And I've been making magnets. Plus they have a sticky side, so it's so easy. Look at this. Where am I getting these magnet strips, you might ask? Well, some people get them at Home Depot, and they're vent covers. I don't like those ones because the magnet is thinner and it does not come with a sticky side. And I get mine on Amazon from a seller. So there's that. If you're interested, I will send the link to you in the comments, but I'm not going to put it in the description. I'm not affiliated with that company at all, but I do like the magnets. Okay, now that that's all set, it is magnetized, even though there's nothing here that I can really stick to it. Yeah, it's magnetized. Anyway, let me know which one is your favorite. I will have to put a little bit of a card base behind here. I know someone will ask, what does it look like on an A2? What does it look like on a 5x7? So I will show you. This one is longer than an A2, so if you wanted to put it like that, I'm not going to tell you to not do that. I'm not going to stop you, I think that would look cool with a fun background. Or you can take your A2 card base, or just make your own card base, and then just make it a little bit longer, and then cut that off, and then you have a little card that you can open up. Size-wise, let's get the measurements. It is about 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. So 6 by 3 1/4. Not too bad. Let's grab a 5x7 card base so you can see. Ooh, that looks good on a 5x7. Food for thought, isn't it? That looks really cool on a 5x7. I have a feeling people are going to put this on a 5x7 card because that looks neat. Anyway, let me know which one was your favorite, and if you have any questions, like I said, about stitching, please pop them in the comments. I love helping you, and I love stitching. So let's get you stitching. Anyway, have a great rest of your day and come back for more videos on my channel. Be sure to subscribe and like the video before you leave. See you next time. Bye, crafty friend.